Hi, I'm Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and it's been a while since I've done a diary entry, and largely because it's been very busy and very hectic. But I thought I'd sort of let you know where we are with stuff at the moment. I think I've mentioned before that the last set building weekend, life's getting a bit more complicated, and that's continuing, and definitely fatigue is starting to set in. That doesn't mean that it's all going wrong. It just means that it's making life a little bit more difficult. The brain's hurting a bit more than it was before and stuff like that. So, and the tasks are becoming a lot more complex in the fact that they're a lot smaller. They're not as obvious as build that corridor anymore. So what I'm doing now to combat that is to quantify all the issues. And that's all sounds very grand. What does that mean? Making lists. That's what I'm doing. I'm breaking the film down into all the sort of the core components that need to be completed. So everything from props to costumes to set, visual effects, computer visual effects, shots that have to be done in before other shots can be done. So, for example, if someone's talking to somebody on a camera or something like that, then those shots need to be done first and planned, webcam shots, all that kind of thing. So, although I don't have all the solutions to those things, it's easy to get lost in with all those things sort of spinning around your head. And 1 minute you're thinking about props, the next minute you're thinking about visual effects, and you just feel it can be overwhelming. So by writing it all down in separate lists for each thing, in any order, I'm not worried about that, just get it on a list, get it down, and that way already I'm able to start to quantify exactly what my issues are. Because once they're on paper, there's two things you can do. One is you can share that information, show all the people who are involved with your project exactly what's left to be done at that stage. You'll think of more things, but at the moment that's what needs to be done. And the second thing you can do is then distribute those tasks and actually give them out. And that works well for two reasons. The first reason is that obviously you're getting the tasks achieved, but secondly, your team knows that they're being well utilised, and you're not like just making things up on the spot or whatever. Not to say that we do that very often, but it means that they know that they're making an active contribution directly towards your production and not just filling in time with a job, etc. And that's also really important. It also, in sort of longer term, allows you to sort of plan your timing and start setting deadlines and stuff like that. Up until now, the production has been about the biggest threat, which is building the sets, and now we're in a situation where all those other things are fast becoming equal priorities. So everything from set dressing to the costumes and even casting. I'm getting a bit nervous about that. Experience has shown me that you can always find actors. There's plenty of them, so you don't need to worry about that too much. You can leave that a little bit later in. But having said that, it'll be about 2 months before we start shooting when we get the casting sorted out. But that does have issues as well. I mean, my costume guys are always saying, well, how big's the person who's playing this character? Well, I don't know, I haven't cast it yet. So, it doesn't mean you can just deliberately delay it. It's about looking at what you need to do first and what needs to be done, what's more difficult and therefore takes longer to do, that kind of stuff. So that's coming as well. What we've got here, this area here, you've probably not sort of seen this before. This is what is effectively sort of mission control. It's it's in the same building as the set. It's just the set's just all over there, and it's just a place now where I can sort of sit down and quietly start getting right down to the specifics of all the areas that I've just mentioned, away from the set building, away from thousands of questions and stuff like that. So that's sort of where I'm trying to spend more time now. Because if I don't, then it will come to a point where I don't know the answers, and then people will start asking me questions, and I won't know what to say. And that's an issue, obviously, because not only do you look stupid, clearly your production's not moving forward. So you need to have all those answers. So that's another reason why to sort of sit down and take stock of everything. So, but no, it's going well. Everything is still on schedule, which from Backyard Productions' point of view means we're ahead of schedule, because every production I've ever been involved with, I think, always seems to run behind. And currently, we are not running behind. We are on schedule. So that's a really good thing. Having said that, with the fatigue that's starting to set in a bit now, it's almost a bit like Groundhog Day. It just seems to be the same. You can get lost in it all. Whether we maintain that remains to be seen. Perhaps just being aware of the fatigue and everything else is enough for us to be mindful and do what we can to make sure that it does move forward and carries on as it's going. So yeah, that's about it, I think. We've been taking pictures of bits and bobs, looking at the set, looking at how we can now start dressing the sets. That's the next big phase now. We're still building there's still quite a lot of building to be done, but we've definitely broken the back of it, and some. So now it's getting right down to well, how do we actually, let's think about the story now. We've got the structure. We know what the sets look like. It's now, what do they feel like? What goes on in those sets, and how are they going to look to meet that activity and to set that feeling. So that's happening now. And that will happen through just past Christmas, and then we'll start looking at lighting, which will also have part of that sort of look and feel. The good thing about this film is that a lot of the sets are quite dark. That can be a problem. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's dark in that single source lighting, but that said, you still need to be able to see the cast. So, but we don't need lights everywhere. That's the issue. So from a production point of view, that's much easier to deal with. So that's coming up. DSLR testing, that at the moment is what we need to look into. Looking at other camera options as well. We want to get that shallow depth of field and all that kind of stuff. But it's still it's about money. Even renting one of these new camcorders that you can put the lenses on, all the rest of it, for 2 weeks of filming. Some of you're still looking at £1,000, and that's a lot of money. So that's something that we need to look at. Whereas we've already got DSLRs and lenses. We could buy all the bits we need to make those DSLR cameras work better. Would cost less than hiring better cameras, but we get to keep them and we can start testing them now. We don't have to wait. So we rent a camera for a couple of weeks, or buy some bits to make our DSLR cameras good enough, and have them from now until the end of the production, and obviously thereafter too. So that's difficult. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. So yeah, that's it. I think that'll do for now. I'll probably do another one of these in a few days. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good.